65. We'll see the winds from the south at 15 to 20, with showers and thunderstorms increasing as we go through the evening.
You're right, Todd, and all you have to do is take a look at that sky. That's what Sammy Sosa just did as he hopped out of the dugout to take a look at Synergy Field for the first with Seattle. Let's check our Mercury starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs under new manager Don Baylor, who has taken over the reins last November, named the head man for this Cubs aggregation. EY Eric Young is over to take over at second base. He's the leadoff hitter. Ricky Gutierrez, remember him, he was in Houston last year. He's now the number 2 hitter and shortstop. Sammy Sosa is off to a very sluggish start with only 2 hits in the first 5 games of the season. Mark Grace, in spite of the fact he broke a bone in his finger of his right hand, is still hitting the way he usually does. He's in the number 4 spot. Henry Rodriguez, the left fielder, he'll bat 5th. Shane Andrews, who came over last September, picked up and won the third base job outright, has been on fire. Damon Buford is your center fielder. He'll hit in the 7th spot. Joe Girardi back to Chicago for the first time in a decade after spending the last 5 years with the Yankees, is your catcher hitting 8th, and Andrew Lorraine, the pitcher, bats in the number 9th spot. And here's Pete Harnish, the Red starter.
Out for the second time this year. Pete, of course, got the opening day start, which was washed out, but it was an official game. Still struggling a little bit with his control, but however, Pete Harnish, who for a while today thought this game might get called off early. That was the kind of weather they expected at Synergy Field. Last year against the Cubs, Pete was 8-6, or 8-6 career-wise. He had lost 2 in 4 appearances against the Cubs, and he's got a little payback coming this year.
7:06 the first pitch delivered here at Synergy Field, and the temperature at this moment 66 degrees. The wind gusting a little bit now as the rain circles around the ballpark. Popped up to the right side towards the seats. Dimitri Young gives trace, but hopping up on top of the tarp doesn't help him very much at all because it's into the seats for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes for Pete Harnish against the leadoff hitter EY Eric Young. Harnish, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits so far in the early going, 3 walks and a strikeout in his 1 performance. Of course, that was the abortive opening day 6-inning 3-3 tie with the Milwaukee Brewers. EY shortens up on the swing, goes waving at a strike 3 pitch. Santiago picks it up, throws to Dimitri, and there's 1 away. So Eric Young is retired, and that'll bring up Ricky Gutierrez, the number 2 hitter and shortstop for Don Baylor. Eric Young, they hope, will start to springboard this offense again, steal some bases. He's 1 of 2 in stolen bases thus far. Gutierrez, pretty good handler of the bat when he is healthy. He spent 2 stints on the DL last year with injured hands. They hope that he and Nieves will nail down the shortstop spot for the Cubs. This is a Cubs team that should score runs, very much what we talked about with Milwaukee too. There's a liner into left. That's a base hit for Gutierrez. So 1 out and 1 on. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for the Cincinnati Reds. You saw out in left field is Alex Ochoa. Ochoa's in left, Ken Griffey Jr. in center, and Dante Bichette is over in right. Aaron Boone, Barry Larkin, Pokey Reese, Dimitri Young across the infield. Santiago behind the plate, and Harnish on the mound. And here is number 21, Sammy Sosa against Pete Harnish. Sosa off to a 105 start. He's only 2 for 19. He has a double, no home runs, 1 run batted in. Remember, the Cubs started the season in Japan with that 2-game series against the New York Mets. Gutierrez yet to try to steal a base this year. He leads off first. The Cubs won that first game against the Mets, lost the second game, then lost 3 in a row to the St. Louis Cardinals. So they're 1-4 coming in. The Reds are 1-2. And Sosa says, I stink. That's basically the way he evaluates himself right now. But Chris, we've seen it time and time again that he says he stinks, and then 2 days later he's on a tear and he's got about 4 or 5 home runs in 2 ball games.
And oftentimes how Sosa goes, the Cubs go. They won their opening day game, and of course they've lost now 4 in a row. So they're looking for this guy in the middle of the order to carry him.
2 balls, no strikes. Harnish to Sosa. Hit a ton to center. Griffey's not even moving. Say good night. That is off the yellow facade and straightaway center field. I guess Sosa feels a little better right now. He gave Harnish's pitch a ride, and it's 2-0 Cubs.
fourth career home run by Sammy Sosa off of Pete Harnish. He comes into this ball game about a 300 hitter against Pete, and boy, he got a pitch out over the plate and just waylaid it.
That ended an 0 for 16 game for Sammy Sosa. It took him 6 games to hit his first after hitting 63 last year and 65 the year before. So Sosa puts the Cubs on the board. It's 2-0. And here's Mark Grace. Check swing, bounce back to Harnish. And that's your second out of the inning. Here's another look at Sammy's jolt.
Looked like it was a fastball that just came back out over the plate. You see where the catcher was. Santiago had set up way outside, but that ball had a little backup action on it. Sammy just trying to put the ball in play to the dead center field area. He almost goes to the yellow line in center field. That is a big man's place to hit a home run.
2-0 Cubs. And here's Henry Rodriguez. That puts the smile back on your face if you're number 21. Hey, for the most complete sports coverage throughout Greater Cincinnati and the Tri-State, watch Ken Brew and Crew only on WLWT Eyewitness Sports 5.
Well, the Brewers were hoping to get out of town before Ken Griffey Jr. got hot, and the Reds, of course, were hoping that Sammy Sosa would stay cold. Coming in here with a big offer around him. But that's not a sign for things to come.
Well, Sosa has laid down the gauntlet for Junior, who's also struggling to come out of his early season doldrums. Sammy gets his first in game number 6 of the 2000 season. That's where Harnish wants it, down there against most of these free swingers. That's your third base umpire, Mark Wegner. The crew chief of this group is John Hirschbeck. He's the new president of the brand new umpiring organization. Veteran American League umpire. He's over at first base. Charlie Williams, veteran National League umpires, at second. Wegner's at third, and Jim Reynolds is behind the plate. Line drive, right center field. That'll go one hop into the wall. Rodriguez will cruise into second with a 2-base hit. That's the third hit of the inning, a single, a double, and a home run. Rodriguez is in scoring position with 2 away.
Well, Henry really didn't do much except try to put the bat on the ball here. He was down in the count. Look how he stays back. It looks like an off-speed pitch of some kind that he just reaches out and just lays that ball in the right center field area. He had not had very good success against Pete in his career, just about a 200 hitter, 208 to be exact.
Rodriguez first double of the year. So he's at second. And here's Shane Andrews. Andrews has been the one consistent hitter the Cubs have had in the early going. He comes in at .353. A double, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. Nice job of blocking by Santiago to keep it from going to the backstop and prevent Rodriguez from going to third. Benito, a year ago, back when we last saw the Cubs in September, he had a Cub uniform on. This year he's won the backup job to Eddie Taubensee. The right-handed swinging Santiago with a left-hander going today in the starting lineup. One ball, 1 strike. Andrews last year picked up in September by the Cubs to give him a look-see to see if he fit into their plans. And after working with Jeff Pentland the last month plus of the season, they've felt comfortable enough to name him their third baseman this year, and he's responded very well for Don Baylor.
That's the pitch that Shane Andrews has always had a lot of problems with, the breaking ball away. He has a tendency to pull off the ball quite a bit. You give him a hanging breaking ball and he can launch it with anybody, but you stay away from him, he'll be a victim of a strikeout more often than not. He has struck out already 7 times in 17 at bats this young season.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Does he go around? He does. So Harnish gets his second punch out of the inning. But before the inning ends, Sammy Sosa's on the board for 2000. His first home run, a 2-run shot. Griffey will try to match him as we go to the bottom of the first. Cincinnati Reds, Pokey Reese, who's been red hot the last couple of games, comes in at .571 to lead it off. Barry Larkin hits in the number 2 spot. Ken Griffey Jr. had his first hit as a Red yesterday in the 5-1 victories. He knocked in the first run. Dante Bichette is hitting in the cleanup spot in right field. The switch hitting Dimitri Young back at first base with Casey starting the year on the disabled list. With a left-hander going, right-handed swinging Alex Ochoa is in the lineup. So is the right-handed swinging Benito Santiago. Aaron Boone, who hit his first homer of the year yesterday, hits 8th, and Pete Harnish, the pitcher, bats 9th. And here's Andrew Lorraine.
He's a left-hander with not outstanding stuff, but good enough if he can keep it in the strike zone to induce a lot of ground balls. A little sinker slider type motion. You see the numbers on him so far. He did not start his first appearance. He was pitching an inning in the third in relief. Gave up 3 hits and a strikeout. Last year, about a year ago, in fact it was April the 6th, he pitched a 3-hit shutout, his first major league appearance against the Houston Astros, and that was the best game that he pitched overall, and hopes that he can pitch well enough to stay in the starting rotation here for the Cubs.
This is a Reds lineup, big guns included, who have fared poorer against left-handed pitching than against right-handed pitching in their career. Pokey Reese, one of the exceptions to that. Reese in his career, .295 against left-handers, .282 against right-handers. Pokey, the only Red to hit in all 4 games he's played in, 4 straight. He has 6 hits in his last 8 at-bats, including 4 hits in the game before last and 2 more yesterday. Reese, Larkin, Griffey due up. Pokey so far has adapted just fine to being the outright leadoff hitter. Last year he split that role with Mike Cameron. And congratulations to Cameron, who had his first home run as a Seattle Mariner last night.
Now if he only hits 47 more, they'll forget all about Junior.
He'll have that problem all year long. We wish Cammy the best out there. One ball, 2 strikes. Lorraine to Reese. In the dirt, dug out by Joe Girardi. The battery, Lorraine and Girardi, and one of the reasons why Don Baylor wanted Girardi was because this is a pitching staff that will get younger. They start the year, of course, with this veteran behind the plate who is a great handler of pitchers, and that's basically been his role with the Yankees the last 5 years. He's brought along all those young pitchers and handled the veterans superbly. That's on the inside corner. A call, strike 3, strikeout number 1 for Lorraine. Here's the defensive alignment sponsored by Ford for the Chicago Cubs. Shane Andrews at third, Ricky Gutierrez at short, EY Eric Young at second, Mark Grace, the multi-gold glover, he's won 4 of them through his career at first, Rodriguez, Buford, and Sosa in the outfield, and Girardi behind the plate. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Here's the captain, Barry, in at .267. Last year, 9 times in the last 10, he was the top-rated shortstop in the Elias Sports Bureau rankings of shortstops in the National League. Another All-Star appearance last year, his 10th, and was a Silver Slugger winner. This year, he'll spend most of his time in the number 2 slot, where he is tonight in front of Griffey. Junior's on deck. Hey, no cookout or cook-in is complete without Hoffman's sausages, brats, and Mets. Condiments, always optional. Ball and a strike from the left-hander. Lorraine will turn 28 on August the 11th. Another one of those great young athletes, young pitchers that came out of the Stanford pitching program. Larkin slaps it foul, and it's 2-2. Larkin strings it out to a full count with Junior on deck. That's slap foul and into the seats down the right field line. There are a lot of different styles of catching, Chris, and from day one when Joe Girardi came to the major leagues, he is picture perfect. He does everything mechanically correct. He may not have the ability that some other catchers, like a Benito Santiago, for instance, a strong arm and so on and so forth, but boy, he's your ideal. If you're going to say this is the way you want to catch, this is the way to do it.
Oh, he does a picture book, and he's also very savvy behind the plate as far as knowing what a pitcher has and not asking his own pitcher on any given night to do more than what he really can do. And that's a sign of a veteran catcher, to work within not only himself but within the pitcher's self.
Here comes Junior. Last night against Milwaukee, he picked up that one for 14, the first hit of the young season. Drove in a run in the first inning for the Reds. Took a little bit of the pressure off, asked for the baseball, and that goes right to his mom, just as his first hit as a Seattle Mariner did 11 years ago. Here's Junior, sitting on 398 career home runs. Both Griffey and Sosa made it clear before the game today that the media and everyone else can make something of their head-to-head confrontation, but doesn't mean much to them. They're both more concerned about their clubs winning at this stage. Neither one of them feeling comfortable at the plate through the first week of the season. But just like with Sammy Sosa, one swing of the bat can make you healthy pretty fast. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sosa's already gone deep to give the Cubs a 2-0 lead.
Well, when Junior Griffey got his first hit, it was a pitch on the outer part of the plate. He went to left center field on. Here he pulls off the ball a little bit. You see that ball from a left-hander moving away from him, either a cut fastball or just a little bit of a slider right there. Lorraine will probably stay away, trying to make Griffey pull the ball. If he does, maybe get a ground ball from him.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Been pretty clear in this early part of the season that just about everybody is trying to pitch Junior away until he starts to go that way. There is an overshift with the shortstop Gutierrez on the second base side of second base. Andrews, the lone defensive player, positioned between second and third. 2-2. Got him. So Junior's punched out, second strikeout in the inning. He'll march back to the dugout, and here comes Bichette, same spot. Take a look.
Yeah, if you look at Junior's numbers last year, you find out that he didn't fare very well against left-handers overall. He was a .307 hitter against righties, but only .229 against left-handers. Hit 8 of his 48 home runs against lefties, and probably, having not seen those, George, probably some of those were to left center field. Right now, just not in that groove of being able to go the other way.
That's a pitch when he's going right, and an area that when he's going right that he'll line to left and left center field. Larkin a little bit bigger lead with 2 outs now, and here's Bichette. That's a strike on the inside corner. Dante, 2 hits and 14 at bats, a home run, 1 run batted in. Comes in at 143. Bichette and Girardi, very, very close friends when they were together in the Mile High city of Denver, Colorado, as teammates. They sought each other out today just to touch base again after Girardi, of course, spent the last few years in the American League. The man who was the bench coach for Don Baylor in Denver, Don Zimmer, was the one who brought Girardi to New York. When Zimmer signed on with Joe Torre, they needed a backup catcher who could tutor young Jorge Posada. Zimmer says, we got the guy. And it was a marriage made in heaven for the Yankees and for Girardi. But the time came when they wanted to see if Posada could do it on an everyday basis. That's this year. So Baylor said maybe it'll work out for us, and it did. They were able to get Girardi as a free agent back to Chicago. Baylor, of course, was the first manager for the Colorado Rockies from 93 to 98, won over 400 games as a Rocky manager, was a manager of the year as they went to the postseason in 95. A dribbler down to third. Andrews will have to hustle in the dirt, but scooped by Gray. So the Reds get a walk, nothing to show for it. And after one, Sammy Sosa's jolt gives the Cubs a 2-0 lead. Go to the top of the second. Buford, Girardi, and Lorraine do up 7, 8, and 9 for the Chicago Cubs. 3 hits and a home run in the first. 2-0 Chicago. Hit deep down the left field line, curving towards the corners. Ochoa, if it's fair, it's trouble. It will be gone. Damon Buford clunks one off the first deck, and the lead now is 3-0 Chicago. Well, for Buford, not the way you would expect.
That's the first pitch he's ever seen from Pete Harnish, and he just jumps all over it. We talked about the location problems that Pete Harnish has had with his fastball. Here's Buford, not known for his power. He gets a piece of cheese upstairs. He goes, hey, that looks too good to lay off, and right inside the fair line.
6 home runs last year, his first this year. 2 home runs in the ball game. It's now 3-0 Chicago. Here's Girardi off the end of the bat. Pokey has it skirt under his glove, and Girardi will go to second. Well, how unlikely is that? That'll be error number 1 on Pokey Reese of the young season. The Gold Glover looked up a little too early, and the ball glanced under his glove, and is a runner at second.
Well, Pokey's got to come a long way for this, yes, but the ball simply rolls into that little bit of daylight he's got between his glove and the turf.
Two home runs off Harnish, an error by Reese. Unlikely first inning plus for the Reds. And here's the pitcher, Lorraine. He's got 2 hits to his major league credit, but in a bunting situation you expect him to sacrifice. One ball and 1 strike as he punches it foul. So 1 round tripper from somebody you expected from, the other from Damon Buford, his first of the year. And Girardi's out at second after the error. Fouled off again, 1-2. Crowd of a little over 20,000 last night, a little bigger tonight. He'll try again, and he'll foul this off. That'll be a strike 3, so the Reds will get an out on the attempted bunt with 2 strikes. Let's take another look at the delivery to Buford in the home run, Chris.
Just one of those get-ahead fastballs, I think. He hasn't seen Buford before. Buford hasn't seen him. He's thinking, I'll just throw a fastball in here, see if I can pop him up. He popped him up all right. 345 feet later.
Three nothing Cubs. Back to the top of the order. Eric Young, who started the game, striking out against Harnish. The strikeout for Harnish of Lorraine, his 3rd of the ball game. Second inning, Colorado 1, Florida nothing. In the second, San Diego leads Montreal 3-0. The Mets 1, Dodgers nothing in the first. Everything else later on in the National League.
Well, as you sit and watch this game at home, you can make believe you're charting for tomorrow night's ball game, and you can see the location that Pete Harnish has had, not only on his fastball, but his breaking balls. Those are back-to-back breaking balls right there to Eric Young, who hits him well. He just throws them up and out of the strike zone. Very un-Harnish-like when he's in a good groove. Oftentimes, a pitcher will do that when he's rushing a little bit to the plate, and Pete's position right now. I think he's just trying to do a little bit too much instead of relaxing out there and trying to finish off each pitch. He's cutting it short and hanging them.
Off the end of the bat, right center field. Griffey there with the one away. Girardi's tagging, but he's not going anywhere. 2 away on the fly ball to center, and that'll bring up Gutierrez. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net, being brought to you tonight by Mercury. Live life in your own lane. Two teams struggling to get on track in the early going. Cubs 1-4, Reds 1-2. In early going, it's Chicago leading at 3-0. American League this afternoon, Kansas City beat Minnesota 10-6. Tonight, Detroit and Baltimore scoreless in the second. Cleveland leads Tampa Bay 1-0 in the first. Everything else later on in the junior circuit. Gutierrez singled in the first. Came home on Sosa's mammoth home run to center field. Kicks away from Santiago. He can't find it yet. Girardi takes a big turn, but will hold at third. That's a wild pitch.
Sometimes this happens to a catcher. You think you blocked the ball and you can't find it right away. It goes right behind the umpire for him, and then it goes away from him. Everybody yelling to him, there, 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 and he's thinking, where? Fortunately, it's Joe Girardi on the mound and not a guy like Eric Young, who may have tried to score on that. Or on the base, that is.
Here's the 1-1. By the way, in that Oriole game, Cal Ripken Jr. is homered, so he inches another hit closer to 3,000. Should get it within the next week or two. Here's the 2-1. Santiago holds it a little longer, doesn't get the call, and it's 3-1. 3 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs. Zip, zip for the Reds so far. That's high, ball 4.
Obviously a big mistake right there for Pete Harnish. He didn't like it. He was kind of cursing himself, I think, after each of those pitches that missed up in the strike zone, because he's very, very well aware who's on deck right there in Sammy Sosa. I mean, if you have your choice of pitching to Ricky Gutierrez or Sammy Sosa with a man on third and 2 outs, guess who do you want? And he really wasn't very close except for one pitch that could have gone the other way. So the location problems continue for Pete. Sometimes it's physical in his mechanics, and sometimes it gets to the point where it's mental.
So here's Sammy, first time up, home run straightaway center, a 2-run shot, his first of the year. Down and away, he holds on it for ball 1. He looked as out of sync as we've seen him in the last couple of years in that first series against the second series, actually, or first in this country against the Cardinals. Did not have any continuity at the plate at all. But one swing of the bat like the first one he had in that first inning, and he can all of a sudden get comfortable pronto.
Well, Sammy really has the same type of swing on almost every pitch that is delivered to him. I mean, he just cuts it loose. It's not like he's trying to rifle one pitch down the right field line. He's trying to hit everything into the upper deck and dead center field.
1-1.
But it does mean that you have to make your pitches on him. And if you leave one out over the plate, he hits them far enough, you don't have to back up third.
And the great danger with the Cubs, not so much in this situation where first base is occupied, but when you got a home run hitter up there, you pitch gingerly around Sosa, but Grace is poisoned with runners in scoring position behind him. And he backed him up with the breaking ball, but it was too far up, too far in, and it's 3-1.
And another trip to the mound by Benito to talk to Harnish. I guess the way to describe the problems that Pete Harnish is going through, if you're a golfer and you've ever stood over a 2-foot putt, not really feeling like you can make it. You're not sure whether you're going to slice it high or hit it low. That's the way Pete is right now with the location of his pitches. He has tried everything to try to rectify it. Don Gullett is under the impression he's maybe trying too much, the same way a hitter tries too much when he's in a hitting slump.
Now, that one to Larkin. They'll get the force at second. So the 3-1. Coaxed into a ground ball out, but the damage done. Buford's home run and a leadoff shot, and it's 3-0 Cubs. Here we go to the bottom of 2. Dimitri Young, Ochoa, and Benito due up. His presence known already, a 2-run home run. It's 3-0 Cubs. Here we go to the bottom of 2. Dimitri Young, Alex Ochoa, Benito Santiago due up. Damon Buford chimed in with a home run of his own. And the Cubs have a 3-0 lead.
George, in watching the Reds over the first series, one thing you have to give credit to, both to the Milwaukee pitching staff and in the first inning tonight, Andrew Lorraine, even though he did walk a batter, the Reds have only picked up 8 base on balls including tonight's ball game. The Cubs have picked up 24 base on balls, so opposing pitchers are coming right after these Reds hitters, and they've been doing pretty well at it.
Cubs in their series in St. Louis outscored 30-8 and out homered 9-1 in that series.
That's a lot of left on base right there because they had opportunities.
That's the thing that irritated Don Baylor more than anything. Talking to him before the game today, he said, we know we need pitching. I mean, that's a given, but we're not doing what we need to do offensively either. Dimitri takes it low. 3 balls and 1 strike.
This is one thing that you might feel that the Reds have an advantage in right now. If they're a little bit patient with Andrew Lorraine, he doesn't have the kind of stuff that is going to blow you away even if you get behind in the count. You can still wait for your pitch.
Drilled back through the middle. Base hit Dimitri. Leadoff hitter on for the Reds. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net, being brought to you by your local Jeep dealer. Here's a Jeep from Dimitri.
Little 3-1 pitch right there. Tried to turn it over to get a ground ball. Tough to get a ground ball when you throw it waist high.
That guy was born with a smile on his face, isn't he?
And Mark Grace can make you smile a little bit too. Of course, it helps when you get down there after hitting a line drive, almost knocking the cap off the pitcher. That makes every hitter feel good.
Dimitri's on, and here's Ochoa. Alex 0 for 4 in the young season. Santiago's on deck. Ochoa, one of those in this Reds lineup, one of the few men in the Reds lineup who has hit well against left-handers throughout his career. Last year over 300 at 319. That's why he's in there today. Pop foul and out of play. If you missed our Real Reds before the game with Jeff Pecoro and Dan Horde and Dr. Tim Kremchek's slot in that show, he gave us a further update on Sean Casey, who's on the disabled list and probably out for about 3 weeks. They have fitted him with a soft cast now, and Casey's walking around today, moving the right hand around, but he's still at least a couple of weeks away from getting anywhere near coming back. And once he does start to work, it'll be wait and see to see how the thumb, which is on the bottom hand as a left-hand swinger, how it reacts when the ball hits the bat. So it figures that Dimitri and Hal Morris, when he's healthy, Morris is nursing a groin pull, will spend a lot of time at first this month. On the outside corner, that's a strike. 2-2. And the Reds, of course, are sending Deion Sanders down to Louisville for the home opener, so he'll be playing at AAA as his rehab continues. Down to third, off Andrews' glove, down the line. Here comes Dimitri around third. Ron Oster will send him in. Here comes the throw to the plate. It will not be in time, and Dimitri scores as Ochoa gets him home. The Reds on the board. It's a 3-1 ball game. Already this year, Andrews has made 3 errors. We'll see the way they score this one, but it's not an easy play.
No, not an easy play at all, George. Just one of those where he had to come about 4 steps and then try to make a backhand. That ball coming off the dirt. So, or he was anticipating it perhaps coming off the dirt. It actually came off the turf, but it's one of those do or die plays. You make the Olay shot at it, maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But there was miscommunication at the back end of this play, because when Andrews got the relay throw, they would have had Dimitri Young dead to rights had he turned and gone home. He stood with the ball instead. Bad defense right there by the Cubs, at least non-aggressive defense, and they leave themselves still with a runner in scoring position.
Good decision by Ron Oster. Bad execution by the Cubs defensively. So now Ochoa in scoring position at second for Benito Santiago. Here's the 1-strike delivery. Low bridges him. Take a look at Dimitri motoring.
Well, Dimitri seeing the play evolve in front of him, seeing it go now off the glove of Andrews, going down the left field line. Now he picks up the third base coach, Ronnie Oster, who's playing very aggressive. We didn't see the end of it right there from the defensive standpoint, but Shane Andrews got the ball. Dimitri Young was only about 20 feet past third base. But oftentimes in a big league ballpark with a lot of crowd noise, the guy who gets that relay throw doesn't hear the catcher saying, home, home, home.
And it's the most difficult play for a third baseman like that, because number one, he's got to cover the bag for the runner coming around, and number two, he's the cutoff man. So it's a difficult position for Andrews to be in. And
that's really the only play in which he is the cutoff man.
Otherwise, it's Mark Grace's job. And remember, Henry Rodriguez is a guy who's been taught he's not a great defensive outfielder. His job is just hit the cutoff man. He's not going to uncork it to the plate. So for the Reds, it worked out on a plus side. And the Reds are on the board. It's a 3-1 game. 2-2 to Santiago. You saw the puddle, by the way, down in the bullpen area. There's still some wet spots around this field after the 3 days of rain. Ochoa back.
Quick move by the left-handed pitcher Lorraine, though. Had he turned and thrown when Gutierrez had snuck behind the runner, they would have picked Ochoa off. Very quick at the turn, Lorraine is, but he just waited too long to do it. That'll come later in the year.
2-2. Popped into center field. Young back calling. He has it. And that's your first out of the inning.
One of those situations where the Reds really needed to get the runner to the other, get the ball to the other side of the infield to advance that runner with nobody out. It happened the other night. Aaron Boone unable to get it done, but the Reds ended up rallying, and both runners that reached base, Pokey Reese and the runner ahead of him, ended up scoring on a double by Barry Larkin.
You talk about runners in scoring position and proficiency. That's the third time in the first 5 games for the Reds that the Reds have not advanced a runner from second to third. It happened also in the 3-3 ball game. And had they advanced it, maybe that run would have come home and it wouldn't have been 3-3.
Well, in today's days of statistical analysis, I guarantee you there's somebody upstairs jotting those down.
Here's Aaron Boone. Had a home run yesterday with one away. His job, and that's a balk on Lorraine.
Well, Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire, wasted no time at all. There's a little discussion now in the Cubs dugout saying, hey, what did he do? I think the only way that you can balk to second base is if you begin your motion like you're going to the plate and then go to second base. Let's see if we can pick it up. He lifts his legs up, holds his hand still, first of all, comes to a set, checks. I guess it was that first little shoulder turn in the very beginning before he lifted his leg up. That's what gave the umpire at home the indication he was coming home. Now the veterans at Girardi and Grace they're going to come out and try to settle him down. So what Benito Santiago couldn't do, Lorraine does to himself.
You saw the twitch, and that's a correct call by Reynolds. He did move as if he was going to deliver to the plate.
Kind of a picky little call, though. If he does that every time, it's a picky little call.
And I don't know that he, it almost looked like he changed his mind in midstream, too. Let's see if Boone can get the runner in now. That's a strike. No balls, 2 strikes.
I remember growing up, George, one rule of thumb was you can't balk to second base.
Yep.
Well, we just proved that wrong.
Well, theoretically, you can't. The idea of balking is the attempt to deceive the runner. And unless you completely make a fake, you're not trying to deceive the runner. That's a swing and a miss. So the Reds, twice with an opportunity to get a ground ball to get a run in, can't do it. Strikeout to Boone. That's your second out of the inning. And here comes Pete Harnish, the pitcher. Now remember, if they had gotten the runner to third, it would have given them 2 shots to get the run in. They don't have it done. Pop up by Santiago, strikeout by Boone. And it's up to Harnish. Over the pitcher's mound. Here comes Gutierrez. He can't get it out of the glove, and Pete's safe. And the run scores. Well, Harnish will tell you, boy, I belted that one. He sawed him off, broke his bat. It's about a 70-footer, and the Reds get a run out of it. He said, how about that? Harnish is telling Dave Collins that's embarrassing, but he'll take the run anyway.
And they said it couldn't happen. An infield hit for Pete Harnish, one of those change-up line drives that goes right over the pitcher's mound. And Gutierrez, the shortstop, just has a hard time getting it out of his glove. Pete running hard the whole way. Alex Ochoa scores easily. And that's a big run right there. That makes it a 1-run game. Take that, ball.
Watch Harnish. He says, I got a chance here.
That ball went 65 feet and counting.
They may give him the ball. It's an infield hit for Pete. Take another look at Harnish. That's the worst blank swing.
But he'll take it.
He'll take it. If Donna's sitting home watching that, Donna, you didn't see that, did you? Pete's wife Donna's sitting home, who's expecting, and Pete's expecting too, expecting to come back out and keep this game close. It's a 3-2 ball game now. Here we go to the third in Cincinnati. Binder Day, balloon night tonight. So far so good with the weather. Yep, there's rain in the vicinity, but so far the umbrellas are stashed and the fans are having fun. On the scoreboard, 3 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs, 2 runs, 3 hits for the Reds. Mark Grace up for the second time will lead it off against Pete Harnish, who helped himself with an infield hit and a run batted in. Grace, Rodriguez, and Andrews due up. Mark bounced back to the pitcher his first time up. Grace in at 278. He's got a double, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. He made his 12th opening day start for the Cubs as the Cubs started the year in Tokyo against the Mets and homered in that ball game. Down the line, deep to right. It's curving. It'll go foul by about 5 feet. Didn't miss that by much. So Harnish again almost gets tattooed down the line. Buford did it last inning to lead off the inning, and Grace almost does it down the right field line this time. There's been no one more consistent at the plate in baseball in the last decade than Mark Grace. Grace and Rafael Palmeiro went back and forth all last year for the most hits of the 90s, and by the time the year ended, Grace edged Palmeiro by a handful of hits. Seven more than Palmeiro for the decade. That's amazing, isn't it, Chris? You play a whole decade, you got 7 more hits and another first baseman and a left-hand
pretty good hitters right there.
That's a walk by Harnish, his second. Leadoff hitters on again. Down at first, Grace marches down to talk to Dimitri Young. Right next to him is the Hall of Famer, number 26, Billy Williams. Back as a coach with the Cubs, now back on the field. He'd been a bench coach prior to this year, the last few years, but he's out at first. So Williams is at first. And Gene Glenn is your third base coach for the Cubs. Rodriguez takes it for a strike. The rest of the staff, Baylor's the manager. Rene Latchman is his bench coach. Latch came over from the Cardinals. He said it was a very difficult decision. The thing that made him move more than anything was the fact that St. Louis trains in Florida. Latchman lives in Arizona, and the extra 6 weeks to stay home meant a lot to him. That's where the Cubs train, in Arizona. Sandy Alomar with the club. And that's where Latch usually is, tucked in the corner of some dugout, right next to his binder. See the binder there? He's got a trunk load of them. He takes wherever he goes. I asked him, I said, did the binders come with you? He said, everywhere I go, the binders come.
Is that the carryover from the Tony La Russa days?
Uh-huh. And he, of course, was with La Russa in Oakland. One of the most meticulous baseball men you'll find. Tireless worker. Former manager in Seattle and Milwaukee. Jeff Pentland, the hitting instructor on this club. And the pitching coach is Oscar Acosta. Popped into left center field. Ochoa calling. He's got it, and there's one away. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the account's description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds or Fox Sports Net. One out, one on, and here's Shane Andrews, who struck out his first time up. Harnish knows already this will be a night of battling. Gave up a single, double, and home run in the first, a walk and a homer in the second, and a walk here. Pete has that ability, though, as many veterans do and guys who study their craft, that on any given night he'll find what works after the first couple of innings, and if he can find it, whether it's his changeup, his fastball, his breaking ball, he'll ride that and somehow manage to stay in a game when he doesn't have his best stuff.
And the reason veterans are able to do that more often than the young pitchers is they know their body better. They've thrown more pitches over the years. They know what they can do, what they can't do. They have that feel for pitching. That's the pitch right there. Whether you're a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher, that fastball on the first base side of home plate, that's very important to Pete. Because both Mark Grace and Henry Rodriguez are right on top of the dish, challenging you to try to put it there, and he's missed a couple of times just inside. Got away with one on that one.
It's a chess match, and if you have hitters thinking about one location, and even if you make a mistake, sometimes you can get away. Harnish has always pitched Andrews down and away, and most people have gotten him out through his career down and away. Pentland spent a lot of time with him at the end of last year and this year trying to shorten his swing. And Chris, we saw him 2 years ago. He was a Reds killer. Every time we went to Montreal, it seemed like he was banging one off the wall or over the wall. He had a bulging disc problem in his back that started his difficulties. He was relegated to a backup role in spring training last year in Montreal, and the year went downhill from there. Here's the 1-2. He got him again.
Well, what Shane Andrews does when he's going good, and he's not the kind of hitter that really hits the good pitcher's pitch, but when he goes good, he doesn't miss the hangers, and he fouled one off straight back the pitch before this. Now Pete throws him a good one, a slider that really drops down. Maybe that was a forkball, can't tell from that angle. But the bottom disappeared, and Andrews goes down. But, you know, in one at bat, maybe you'll get one pitch, sometimes two pitches that you should be able to handle, and when you foul those off, you're in trouble.
And the other factor, perfect location. You saw where Santiago had the glove right on the outside corner, and that's where Harnish put it. Strikeout number 4 for Pete. Here's Buford, who homered. No balls, 2 strikes. Damian came over from the Red Sox in the Manny Alexander trade this offseason. Played in almost 100 games with Boston last year, including the postseason.
That was a setup pitch right there after a couple of fastballs that caught the plate. The fastball that misses away, likely now that Harnish will throw the breaking ball that'll try to go at the outside corner only to break away. Buford doesn't know whether it's a fastball or breaking ball. There it is.
Strikeout number 5 for Pete. So Harnish, even though he walked a batter here in the third, has his best inning yet. To the bottom of 3 we go. Reds trail by 1, but Larkin, Griffey, and Bichette are due up. Go to work to Larkin, Griffey, and Bichette. So we head to the bottom of 3. Barry walked his first time up, but was left stranded in the first inning. Three-two Cubbies. Larkin trying to get the Reds rolling. In tied at third is Andrews, guarding against a possible bunt. Third base coach's box for the Reds as usual, Ron Oster. Over at first, Dave Collins. That's a foul ball. It looked as if it might have skipped the top of the bag, but it hit right behind the bag, just foul. Right there to make the call was third base umpire Mark Wagner. Take another look.
Well, Wagner is straddling the line right there. He's got as good a view as anybody. Right there, it might have. Can't tell. He made no hesitation at all, though. He made the call.
No argument from Ron Oster either, so the correct one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now in the fourth, Colorado 1, Florida nothing. In the fourth, San Diego 8, Montreal nothing. Padres just after a great series against the Mets moved to Montreal. Larkin right center, sinking liner. Here comes Buford. Nice job defensively. He snares it. He can do that. He chased that one down, and there's one away.
When you're a center fielder and the ball coming right at you, that's a tough play to make. But if you get a good jump on it, you've got the good hand-eye coordination that Damon Buford does, no problem at all. That ball struck so well and hung up for him.
Here's Junior. The shift again with 3 infielders to the right side of the second base bag. It's a 1-hopper right to the shortstop behind second, and Griffey's retired.
You know, George, that's a number of times we've seen a ball that was fielded by the shortstop right behind the second base bag. With a normal infield configuration, that would be a base hit, but with the shift on, it's an out for Junior. I wonder at what point is he's going to drop one down the third baseline and say, okay, now you guys are going to have to play me straight up because I'm going to take a bunt if you give it to me.
Now, he said it repeatedly in spring training that he would do that. As yet, he has not. You have a feeling that sooner or later he will. I think at this stage he's just trying to get a little comfortable.
Well, you know, the Brewers put the shift on him, and of course the Chicago Cubs, who did not have the luxury of seeing the Reds in spring training, they had an advanced scout here to see how successful the Brewers were with that shift. Do a little carbon copy of it.
Here's Bichette. Look out. Second time in 2 nights he launches a bat. This one into the dugout of the Cubs. 0-2.
A low whirly bird.
Jeff Pentland heading for the high hills. He didn't want any part of that one.
I'll tell you what,
I wouldn't either.
It's like having a rabid raccoon running around the dugout right there, the way those guys are scurrying around.
Jeff Reed, former catcher with the Reds, said, I'll hide behind Pentland if he's going to bury himself like that. That's a little bit inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two away, Dimitri Young on deck. Slap foul down the third base line gives us a chance to tell you that Fox Sports Net welcomes our viewers watching on Time Warner Cable in Cincinnati and Adelphia Cable in Ashland, Kentucky. Thanks for watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net, and welcome aboard. Good crisp fastball in on the hands, gets Bichette for Lorraine. That's strikeout number 3 for him, number 4 rather. And we'll be back after these messages. We're heading to the fourth. It's 3-2 Cubs over the Reds. On their wings and by Performance Lexus. Here's Joe Girardi hitting 8th in the order. Reached on the first error of the year by Gold Glover Pokey Reese. By the way, the Reds hardware from last year, including Pokey Reese's Gold Glove and Manager of the Year trophy for Jack McKeon. Here's a pop up to the right side. Will be doled out tomorrow. Scott Williamson's Rookie of the Year honor as well. I'll get those awards tomorrow before the ball game. That is weather permitting, and we hear there's rain around here tonight, and tomorrow it's supposed to be even more wicked. Rain, chance of some snow flurries. But we got an afternoon game, and we'll be on the air at 1 o'clock to bring you Reds baseball. Hope you join us. Girardi pops out. There's one away. Here's the pitcher Lorraine, who struck out back in the second inning. Hey, right now at Arby's, get any 2 subs for only $4. Mix and match them any way you like. 2 Arby's subs for just $4. Arby's. Now that your taste of growing up, try Arby's. Pitching rotation for this series has Rob Bell, his major league debut tomorrow against Kevin Tapani. Sunday, Denny Nagel against Scott Downs. Then the Reds take to the road against Colorado. Home opener for the Rockies in Denver on Monday. Steve Paris against Rolando Araujo. Tuesday, Ron Villone against Brian Bohannon. We're on the air at 9 o'clock Cincinnati time Tuesday. Wednesday, it's Pete Harnish against Masato Yoshii. Time for our Aflac trivia question. When was the last time Cubs won the World Series? Oh, that hurt.
Here's a hint. It's been a long time.
Yeah. A walk to Lorraine, 1 out, 1 on. That's walk number 3, issued by Harnish. Young, right center field, base hit. Lorraine will hold as Griffey gets it in quickly. So walk and a base hit, 2 on, 1 out. And here comes Gutierrez. The sweet swinger from Whistler, Alabama. Billy Williams down at first talking to EY. Harnish upset with himself after the walk to the pitcher. Now gives up a base hit. And here's Gutierrez. He walked him last time up 2. Reese, Larkin, double play depth.
Well, with the walk and the base hit guarantees, unless there's a double play in the meantime, it guarantees that Sammy Sosa comes to the plate again with a couple of runners on base. I mean, yeah, he is really the only legitimate Thunder, with, of course, the exception of having Henry Rodriguez in there also against a right-hander. But it seems like every time you got a runner on base, here comes Sosa.
Already past the 60 pitch mark, and we're in the 4th inning. The specter of number 21 in the on-deck circle has kept the Cubs offense alive for years. What Don Baylor hopes is that maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years, they can do more than just hit home runs but win ball games. In fact, he told Sammy before this year when they met that his view of Sammy is that he'd like to see him be more the complete player that he was with the White Sox and early in his career with the Cubs. Run more, do other things.
It's hard to tell a guy that is on the verge of breaking a home run record every year and making $10 million plus.
Harnish wanted the call, didn't get it from Jim Reynolds, and it goes 3-2. We'll see what Don Baylor does with the 2 runners at first and second. 3-2 and 1 out. The pitcher's at second. Below average speed. EY good speed over at first. Runner's not going. Down to third. Fair ball. It'll go into the corner. Lorraine will score. It gets hung up on the pad, so that'll allow Eric Young to score. The throw will go way high, kick past the catcher Santiago, and allow the other run to score. So 2 runs score. They had a chance for the runner at third, but the throw missed the cutoff man. We talked about the way the Cubs botched their relay. So do the Reds here. They hit the cutoff man. They've got the runner coming into third dead.
Another hanging breaking ball to Ricky Gutierrez. Gets it by Aaron Boone. That was the best shot the Reds had for it right there, and it goes right in there against that pad. Now, meanwhile, Ochoa, the left fielder, is going down the corner because he's thinking it's going down there. By the time he gets it back into the infield, a couple of runs have scored. That'll go ahead of the throw, and that errant throw right there allows the runner, or the batter runner, to go to third base. And here's Sammy. So things have gotten worse.
It'll go as a double and 2 runs batted in for Gutierrez.
And the other thing to consider, George, is that there's a major thunderstorm on its way to Cincinnati area. They expect the thing to be here sometime this evening. This game could be a short one, and the Reds are already in the 4th inning, down by 3.
5-2. Swing and a miss by Sosa. Ball and a strike. Our Performance Lexus long ball of tonight. Sosa's first home run of the year. Off the yellow facade in center field. That was in the first inning. Gave the Cubs a 2-0 lead. It's now 5-2 Chicago. With 1 out, Reds have the infield halfway at short and second. That'll get the run in. It's deep to right. Back is Bichette. He'll one-hand it, but the run will score easily. Gutierrez scampers home. It's a sacrifice fly for Sammy. Sosa has 3 runs batted in. That's what they want from the big guy, and it's now 6-2.
Well, Pete Harnish will take complete blame for this. When the walk with 1 out to the opposing pitcher, that's the 3rd walk of the ball game. You're going to give up these kind of balls to Sammy Sosa all the time unless you've got a strikeout pitch working. But the error by their left fielder allows the runner to get in third, who wouldn't score from second base on that. So the Cubs are able to push another one across and a 4-run cushion. Ouch.
6-2 Cubs. Here's Mark Grace. Bounce back to the pitcher and walk. Top of the order for the Cubs has done some business tonight. 4 hits, a walk, a sacrifice fly. 5 of the 6 runs produced by the first 3 in the order. And down in the Reds bullpen, they'll get some action going. Hector Mercado will go and start to loosen as Sammy Sosa's done his job so far tonight. Three-two. That's a call, strike 3. Grace won't like it. He'll say a few words to home plate umpire Jim Reynolds. But the damage done. Double by Gutierrez chases home 2. Sacrifice fly by Sammy gives him his 3rd run batted in of the night. It's 6-2. We're going to the bottom of 4 in Cincinnati. Larkin, Griffey, Bichette couldn't get it done last inning, so it's time to take Barbie and go get some concessions this inning as the Reds come to the plate. Don't go too far, though, because Dimitri's up. Then Ochoa, and then Benito Santiago. Andrews bobbles it, but still gets it there in time, and there's one away on the 5-3 putout. This afternoon, and the Royals win over the Twins 10-6. Sweeney 3 for 5, 2 home runs. He now becomes the 13th player this year to have 2 home runs in a ball game.
We've already had 5 grand slams.
Man.
The season is only 1 series old.
Here's Alex Ochoa, doubled in a Reds run after Dimitri singled back in the second. Sliced foul down the right field line. Second start of the year for Ochoa against this left-hander. And the outfield situation will become curiouser and curiouser as the month of April goes on. Once Deion Sanders goes down to Louisville and starts his rehab, it's expected that after a couple of weeks he'll be at decision time, and that means decision time for the Reds too, about another outfielder or possibly another position player. Of course, right now with Casey on the disabled list, and until he comes off the disabled list, there's really an extra player. D.T. Cromer is now with the club, and he could go back down to AAA. But the Reds will have some very serious decisions to make late April, early May.
Well, you may not have to wait that long to see some roster changes. The Reds are rumored anyway to be working on some deals as late as this afternoon and tonight.
Ball 4 to Alex Ochoa. Now we gave you our Aflac trivia question. Here's your Aflac trivia answer. Our question of the night: when was the last time the Cubs won the World Series? Chris just graduated from high school this year. Or was it 06 you graduated? Steve Stone was broadcasting then, wasn't he? Stoney and Chip Carey with us here in Cincinnati, the two broadcasters for the Chicago Cubs TV side. Pat Hughes and Ron Santo on the radio side here at Synergy Field, and Reds fans elated with the fact Tony Perez goes into the Hall of Fame this year as Santiago fouls it down the right field line. And Reds fans as well as Cubs fans, I think many of them believe that Ron Santo belongs in the Hall too. Outstanding third baseman, great offensive player, and one of those who every year is part of the debate by the Veterans Committee. There is Ronnie. Great to see him back in the booth and back at Synergy.
If I had a vote, I would certainly vote Ron Santo in.
Me too. Center field, Buford calling. Second out. Here's Steve Stone on the left, Chip Carey on the right. Wearing their resplendent Fox net garb. By the way, Stoney had for those of you that don't know him, might be a friend of Steve Stone, he had a very rough last couple of months. He had what he thought was a respiratory problem in Arizona. He lives in Arizona. That's where the Cubs train. First thought it was pneumonia, and it turned out to be a viral infection. It's called
Valley fever.
Valley fever. It comes
I've never
from
heard that before.
The dust of the valley in the Arizona area, and it took them a while to track it down to see what it was. But it's an illness. It's like pneumonia, but it sometimes takes 3 to 6 to maybe 9 months to recover from it. So he ain't going to be puffing on his cigars anytime soon.
I always thought that Arizona was a place where doctors sent you when you had allergy problems and breathing problems, and had no idea that there were these strange spores out there. That he tells us that it's pretty common. Most people have the symptoms of a flu, and others have more severe symptoms, and he was one of those that had pneumonia type symptoms.
As you can see, he's fine, well, and great to have him back at the ballpark.
But no cigars.
No cigars. Here's Aaron Boone. Down and in for a ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, Aaron finally connected last night. Here's round tripper number 1. Drilled it to left field. A 2-run shot. That helped the Reds to a 5-1 victory over Milwaukee in the final of their series. Michael Tucker scored ahead of him. Did that clip him? No, it didn't. 2-2.
Well, the difference between Andrew Lorraine this year and the Andrew Lorraine that the Reds saw last year is this kid is not afraid now to pitch inside. He went up the ladder on Aaron Boone last time, register a strikeout. He's got 4 on the night, and he has pitched effectively inside 2 times in 2 at-bats to Dante Bichette, normally a guy who's very tough to get the ball in on. Sometimes these left-handers, the light goes on a little bit later than others. He's 28 years old, and I don't know whether how much expectation they had for Lorraine, but he's throwing the ball extremely well.
Down in the dirt, 3-2. He's been around California, the White Sox, Oakland, Seattle, and the Cubs organization. So, yeah, he hasn't pitched a lot with a lot of success at the major league level, but he's had a lot of stops. And like you were saying yesterday, Chris, and the other day about Steve Parrish too, and Ron Blown, sometimes it takes a while for everything to come together. 3-2. It's down and away. Ball 4, and the Reds have 2 on. With the pitcher Pete Harnish coming up, Mark Lewis will pinch hit. So Harnish's day is done. The numbers on Pete: he's allowed 6 runs, 6 hits. The big blows: 2-run home run from Sammy Sosa, a leadoff home run from Buford, a 2-run double from Ricky Gutierrez. Tom Hume with Hector Mercado in the bullpen. Mercado will be the new pitcher. Now let's see if Mark Lewis can provide some of the lightning that he's provided in years past. He led the club in hitting during spring training, hit an even .400. Hit safely in 9 of his last 10, and a primary right-handed pinch hitter off the bench for the Reds. Looking for something straight to go whacking at. Good fastball hitter. First at bat of the new season. Not happy with the 6 hits and 6 runs. Pete Harnish night is done. Here's Lorraine to Lewis.
Well, Pete Harnish feels a double responsibility of not only trying to lead his team on the days that he pitches, but also being the team leader on the pitching staff totally. And when he goes bad, he feels like he's let down everybody double time. Maybe the Reds can get him back in it and off the hook.
Here's the 3-0 to Lewis. There's a strike. The numbers on Pete: 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs. He walked 3. He did strike out 6. 80 pitches, and he exits on the short end of a 6-2 score. On the inside corner again. Lorraine battles back 3-2.
Well, Mark Lewis, a very good fastball hitter, has seen nothing but fastball. Samandu Lorraine should have him timed pretty good.
The runners will be off and running. 3-2, 2 outs.
Probably will get another one on this count.
Ochoa and Boone off their bags. Grace now playing behind Boone over at first, so he'll get a big break. Here's the 3-2 again. Pop foul. It'll be out of play. How long does Girardi stay with number 1? 3-2. Does he risk getting Pokey Reese to the plate if he walks him and the bases are loaded? And that's the guessing game Lewis is playing too. Will he drop one on me, or do I dial it up again? He stayed with it, and it's a call. Strike 3. Lewis is left hanging. The Reds strand a pair. Here in the 4th inning, they've stranded 4. Going to the 5th, Rodriguez, Andrews, and Buford due up. The Cubs by 4.
Of 6 hit, 6 run baseball, he walked 3 is Hector Mercado. In for the 2nd time this year. You see the numbers on Mercado, the hard throwing left-hander that essentially walked on the ball club. After 2 years of pitching 6 innings and professional baseball during the regular seasons due to some arm injuries, both elbow and shoulder. He pitched winter ball last year in Puerto Rico, came in shape, ready to go, and he earned his way onto the ball club.
The left-hander made his major league debut in the Tuesday game against Milwaukee, and he's ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes here. Hector, native of Catania, Puerto Rico, that little town just outside of San Juan, across the bay from San Juan, dealing to Henry Rodriguez. Down and away, gets him swinging, and that's strike out number 1 for Hector Mercado.
You know, we've already seen, George, a different Hector Mercado than we saw his first time out. He essentially came out his first time against the Brewers in his major league debut, rocking and firing nothing but fastballs. And here against Henry Rodriguez, he dropped a slider and 2 curveballs on him. So nice to see that Hector's got a breaking ball repertoire as well.
He's battled his way through the minor leagues and on the injury front as well. Originally selected by the Astros back in '92, then plucked by the Phillies as a Rule 5 selection in '97, traded to the Mets in December of '97, and signed as a free agent by the Reds in '99 after a year of recovering from arm surgery.
And you know what happens to a lot of these guys that have arm surgery? He had Tommy John surgery, and he also had some problems with his shoulder. And of course, the rehab that they put you on from a medical standpoint gets your arm so much stronger than it was previous to the injury that you come back. If your malady that sets you back, if for instance you had an elbow problem, if that stays healthy, your arm is actually much stronger the second time around because you've worked harder at it. And this is what Mercado has found himself. He has added zip to his fastball, and he just comes right there and blows the fastball right by Shane Andrews.
Andrews, 3 straight strikeouts, 2 at the hands of Harnish, 1 at Mercado. Mercado has 2 straight punch-outs, and there's another strike. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net, brought to you by your local Chrysler dealer.
I'm not recommending arm surgery for anybody who doesn't need it. Just go ahead and rehab like you had it, though.
And the other side of it, you know, the Reds are now sitting looking at Mark Wohlers, who's, as you heard in the pregame show, Real Reds tonight from Dr. Tim Kremchek, is coming back fine, and he's probably 4 to 6 weeks away from a rehab stint. But you can't be too cautious coming back from especially elbow surgery. Take your time. You want to come back. The Cubs are going through it with Kerry Wood. You want to come back healthy, come back for the long haul, not to come back and go back on the DL again.
Well, you can strengthen your muscles in the shoulder and all those rehab exercises a lot faster than that tissue can finally come around the injured area and rejuvenate itself. You've got to give yourself time to heal from the inside, and you know, doing push-ups and weight work is all good and well, but it always takes time. And for Mercado, it's taken a long time. He's been really essentially 2 years out of baseball.
One ball, 2 strikes to Buford, who's 1 for 2, a home run. That's pop foul. It'll be out of play. Take a look at Damon's first home run of the year down the left field line.
Well, if they didn't have a scouting report on Damon Buford, that will help right there. Don't throw it high and down the middle. Very quick bat, not a whole lot of power, but just enough to get it out of here down the line.
How about Mercado? 3 up, 3 down, 3 punch outs for Hector. Here we go to the bottom of the 5 with rain on the horizon. The Reds need to do some business. They trail by 4, 6-2. Is expected as Pokiri steps in. As the Reds, facing the prospect of an official game with rain expected, are trailing by 4, 6-2. Pokey, a 2-hopper down to short. Gutierrez gobbles it up, and there's 1 away. Pokey's 0 for 3. Strikeout and 2 groundouts. Don't forget, more Reds baseball coming your way tomorrow. Cubs against the Reds. We'll be on the air at 1 o'clock for Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net. And before that, we'll have Real Reds beginning at 12:30. Tomorrow's matchup, Rob Bell will make his Major League debut against Kevin Tapani. So join us beginning at 12:30, and then the game at 1 as we give you the full picture of the Reds. And if you've missed it so far, remember that before every home game this year, we'll have our Real Reds program with Jeff Pecoro and Dan Horde a half hour before every single Reds home game. So join us and get behind the scenes with the Reds of the year 2000. Here's Barry Larkin. A walk and a line drive to center, 0 for 1. Ken Griffey Jr. on deck. On the scoreboard tonight at Huntsville, Alabama, Chattanooga has jumped off to a 5-0 lead in the first inning. They put a 5 spot up in the top of the first. Gookie Dawkins homered his first home run of the year. So a better night for Gookie as Larkin walks. Last night in the lid lifter for Chattanooga, they lost to Huntsville 9-7. Gookie was 0 for 5, 3 strikeouts and 2 errors. So he turned it around tonight with a home run in his first at bat. Alejandro Diaz, the youngster signed last year by the Reds as a free agent, also homered. By the way, also last night, Louisville began their first season as a Reds affiliate, 12-10 win at Norfolk. Chris Sexton led the Louisville attack. He was 3 for 4. Well, here's Junior. 1 out, 1 on. Junior 0 for 2, strikeout and a ground out. Fouled at the plate for strike 1. You would have thought the Reds had clinched the playoff spot last night when Junior lined a line drive to left to knock in Pokey Reese and give the Reds a lead 1-0 against Milwaukee. His first hit as a Red. Crowd electric with the base hit. They'd like to see more here. Short lead for Larkin. They're working the same spot, Chris, staying away and staying down.
Yeah, the idea on Dante Bichette and the right-handers is pitching to the inside part of the plate. That's the third base side, and against Ken Griffey and the lefty, well, he is the only lefty on the lineup tonight, is just to get that breaking ball, that slider of Andrew Lorraine, get it away. Start it in the middle, move it away. Griffey's still pulling off the pitch. His job a little easier this time against the Cubs shift because Mark Grace has to hold a runner at first base. But still in all, awfully tough to punch a ball on the ground through that infield.
Slap foul. It stays 0-2. And a league where everything seems the same, Neon throws a curve into the game with its striking new style. Catch Neon at the friendly Dodge dealer near you. Just something about April in the Reds, Chris. Last year was the same story. Reds have not had a winning April since '94. They have difficulty getting on track, and this year so far no different. Pop up, Andrews has it. There's your second out.
Yeah, I guess that that's the easiest and the head in the sand way to explain it away. But the fact is, George, Junior's not doing the little things. You mentioned earlier the number of times the Reds have been unable to get a man over to third base with nobody out when they had the opportunity to do so. Obviously, they're waiting for the big guy, Ken Griffey Jr., to start swinging the bat well. He has not done that so far. He's not panicking yet, but still in all, you don't want to dig yourself a hole that you've got to play 800% baseball to get out of.
Here's Bichette 0 for 2, ground out and a strikeout. A little bit bigger lead for Larkin.
The other thing you hear from local people saying, gee, what about all those come from behind wins the Reds had in the second half of spring training down there? Fact is, most of those come from behind wins were engineered by those guys who are playing down in Louisville right now. Against other teams, AAA ball clubs. So that's why you can take the scoreboard in spring training and essentially deep six it.
2 balls, no strikes to Bichette with 2 away. Up and in, and it's 3-0. Remember last year when the Reds started poorly, losing their first 3 to San Francisco? They were under 500 for the month of April, and it wasn't until the little guys, the Pokey Reeses, the Aaron Boones, Mike Cameron caught fire, Sean Casey started going before Vaughn, Larkin, and the big guys started doing anything. There's a strike. And in the offensive splurge last night, it was the little guys again who started it. So
when you look at this ball club on paper, you don't think that it's a type of club because they're so balanced and they've got quickness and they've got power and they've got lefties and righties and all that, that they'll go into a prolonged slump. But we've seen it here in the first week of the season that they can be pitched to if they're not swinging the bats well.
Pops them up, so 2 dangerous hitters. Griffey and Bichette both popped up by Lorraine. He's pitching like a dandy tonight, and the Reds now face a 4-run deficit, 6-2. We're going to the 6th in this official game. The Cubs will lead it off against Hector Mercado, who struck out the side in the 5th. He took over for Pete Harnish. Pete went 4 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, struck out 6, walked 3, threw 80 pitches, and left trailing 6-2. Girardi, Lorraine, and Ely, Eric Young, due up here in the 6th. Those 2 plate appearances account for an 0 for 2 so far tonight. Even before Joe Girardi left New York, he was making it clear last year that his goal this year was to head back to Chicago, be closer to home, be with his family. And he's elated to be back at home, living right outside Chicago. That's a walk to Girardi. Nobody out, 1 on. Hey, don't forget, Sports Geniuses comes your way on Fox Sports Net. You can put your sports knowledge to the test. Be sure to tune into Sports Geniuses' new nightly game show that'll challenge the most knowledgeable of sports fans. Weeknight 6 and 11 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. Got to get Jesse Jackson as a contestant on Sports Geniuses. He'll clean up big time, Jess. Here's Lorraine. He tried to bunt and sacrifice in the 2nd inning and struck out, trying to do it again. Takes ball 1. San Diego at Montreal, now bottom of 6. Padres 9-0 over the Expos. Padres off to a great start. Phil Nevin has hit his 2nd home run. Ryan Klesko his 1st of the year, and that one Meadows against Powell north of the border. At Florida, Colorado a run in the 1st on Lansing's home run, leading 1-0 bottom of 6. This bunt is a good one. Down to 2nd will go the throw, not in time. Larkin says, "You kidding me? Did I take my foot off the bag?" It looked as if he got the ball and the foot was on the bag in time as Santiago tried to get the lead runner. We'll take another look and see. So it'll go as a fielder's choice, and now they're runners at 1st and 2nd. Nobody out.
Well, Santiago makes a good play by getting out there very quickly, but the throw's offline, and Larkin's got to do a first baseman stretch right here. Did he take his foot off the bag? Tough from that standpoint. If he didn't take the foot off the bag, it's a bad call because it looks like he slid into the base after Larkin had fielded it.
Charlie Williams makes the call at 2nd, and their runners at 1st and 2nd, calling him safe. Larkin, the look on his face will tell you how he viewed that play. Gutierrez, is he out of the box? Yes, he is. Is he?
No, they're calling it foul ball.
They call him inside the box. It was 1 step out. We'll take another look, but for EY, it's a foul ball. Let's take a look. Is he out of the box?
Now, see how deep he is in the batter's box when he starts. A lot of guys, when they're going to go up there and put it down a bunt, especially those who are going to sacrifice bunt, will move way up into the batter's box because it eliminates more foul territory. But he's deep in the box, and 1 step takes him still in the batter's box.
So it's 1 strike. His job still to get the runners over. Girardi off 2nd, Lorraine off 1st. That's in the dirt. It'll kick all the way to the backstop. Girardi rounds 3rd and will hold there. So they don't even need the sacrifice to advance the runners. Execution. We've talked about the Reds' inability to execute offensively, and defensively it's the same story.
But when you look flat in the hitting area and you make a couple of pitches like this, you look extra bad. That one attempted to be blocked by Santiago, but no way on that as it goes off the top of his shoulder all the way back to the padding. So for a guy who struck out the side, no problem at all last inning, Hector Mercado's running into some serious problems here with nobody out in this inning.
Reds have to bring the infield in, already down by 4. That's up and away. 2 balls and 1 strike. Young tonight struck out first time up, fly ball to center, then in the 4th singled and scored on the double by Gutierrez. Still no one out. Top of 6. Right field. Tagging at third is Girardi. Bichette. His throw will come all the way in. It won't be in time as Girardi scores. It's a sacrifice fly from Eric Young. His first run batted into the year. Now it's 7-2. Second sacrifice fly of the night for the Cubs. The other one by Sosa in the 4th. Not much of a chance did Bichette have. He was mid to deep right field. Long throw as Young gets the sacrifice fly. The run scores at 7-2 Cubs. And here's Gutierrez. Been on base 3 times. A walk, a single, and a double. The double knocked in a pair. Hey, live racing returns to River Downs April 17th to kick off their 75th anniversary season. Enjoy free general parking and admission every day. River Downs. Have you seen us lately? At Atlanta tonight, Giants 5, Braves 1, top of 5. Gardner against Mulholland. Bonds has hit his 2nd home run. Bobby Estalella his 1st, and Andrew Jones his 2nd. At Shea Stadium, Mets got 2 in the 1st. They lead LA 2-1, bottom of 5. Dryford against Reed. Sheffield's hit his 2nd for the Dodgers. That came in the 4th. Philadelphia and Houston scoreless in the 3rd. Wolf against Dotel. Slapped down the right field line. It'll carom off the first row of seats. A foul ball, and it's 0-2. At St. Louis, Brewers a run in the top of 2 for Jason Beret against Venice. It's 1-0 Milwaukee in the 3rd. Still to come. Pittsburgh at Arizona. Ritchie against Reynoso. American League. Kansas City beat Minnesota 10-6 before 40,000 at Kansas City this afternoon. Tonight, Baltimore leads Detroit 5-3 in the 5th at Baltimore. That's a base hit through the hole on the left side. The run will score, make it 8-2. So Gutierrez has had a whale of a night. 3 hits and a walk, 3 runs batted in, and the top of this order has been poisoned for the Reds. Mercado, who breezed through the last inning, 1-2-3. A walk, a fielder's choice, a sacrifice fly after a wild pitch, and then the base hit, and it's now 8-2. Here's Sammy. Hit his first home run of the year in the 1st, a 2-run shot, bounced out, then a sacrifice fly in the 4th, knocked in the 6th run for the Cubs. Tampa Bay Indians now leading Tampa Bay 13-1 in the 4th. Omar Vizquel has hit a grand slam. Jim Tome's homered, his 2nd of the year. Dave Justice also homered in that one. To play down the right field line by Sosa. Toronto 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd. Leading Texas 4-0 in the 3rd. Tony Batista has hit his 4th home run for the Blue Jays. 4 in this first week. Tonight, New York's at Seattle. Pettit against the Llama. Boston at Anaheim. Pete Schurik, just signed this week by the Red Sox, starts for Boston against Dixon, and Chicago's at Oakland. Eldridge against Heredia. That's your scoreboard update. Here it's 8 runs, 7 hits for the Cubs. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Reds. Andrew Lorraine has pitched well. The Cubs have hit a ton. Home runs by Sosa, Buford, and the top of the order, the top 3, has produced 7 runs for Chicago. Down and in, a swing and a miss, and Sosa is punched out. There's your second out of the inning, and that'll bring up Grace.
And wishful thinking for Hector Mercado. He thought it was 3 outs and was halfway off the field. Maybe you feel like you accomplished that when you strike out Sammy.
So here's Mark Grace. Other than Shane Andrews, he's the only other Cub that hasn't been on base tonight. Via the hit. 0 for 2 and a walk. Down the line, Boone gives chase, but it'll be in the seats. This date in Reds history, 1975. Reds beat the Dodgers 2-1 in 14 innings on opening day at Riverfront. Cesar Geronimo scored the winning run on George Foster's infield hit. The Reds, after this series against the Cubs, will be a part of 2 opening days. One in Denver and then one in Los Angeles. They'll help the Dodgers open up on a renovated Dodger Stadium. They've changed the press box. They've added some luxury boxes.
As long as they didn't get rid of those Dodger dogs.
And sushi, huh? No balls, 2 strikes.
I'm looking for a combination of 2 and 1.
Sushi dogs?
A sushi dog.
0-2 to Grace. Just does stay alive, flicking that one foul, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mark Grace. Short lead. Gutierrez off first. He's going. And it's slap foul. Don Baylor has a view of what he wants to do with the Chicago Cubs team. That is, run a little more. That's why he's got his former second baseman with Colorado, Eric Young, as his leadoff hitter. And he feels he can run with Gutierrez too. He also feels he can hit and run a lot more this year.
Still, though, they're kind of a veteran ball club. That's a nice way of saying they're old, and they also really don't have much speed other than those 2 guys.
Deep right. Bichette back. Can he keep it in the park? It's gone.
But they have power.
Mark Grace, second home run of the year, and it's become home run derby for the Cubs. Put 2 more on the board. Gutierrez scores. Grace behind him, and would look like a great start for Hector Mercado has exploded here in the 6th. It's now 10-2 Cubs. Mercado struck out the side in the 5th, 1, 2, 3, and here in the 6th. Here's the capper.
Well, Hector made some pretty good pitches in this at bat to Mark Grace, but Grace kept fouling them off, battling like the veteran and the fine hitter that he is. Finally gets a hanging breaking ball from the lefty and sends it exactly where it ought to be.
Location, location, location. Every other breaking ball down and away. That one right where Grace can get it. Well, after being out homer 9-1 by the Cardinals, the Cubs are making up for lost time tonight. Sosa has a round tripper, Grace has a round tripper, and so does Buford.
Interesting, George, because for a pitcher like Mercado and Scott Williamson last year, you make the ball club based on your stuff. They evaluate you in spring training really not on what your earned run average is, but what you show them as far as your ceiling goes, how hard you can throw, how good your breaking ball is. But when the big league season begins, you're judged by the opponents on your location. And so far tonight, Pete Harnish has had bad location, and Mercado on that breaking ball That was a hanger.
Take a look from the way the catcher Benito Santiago saw this one.
Didn't see it for long.
Swing and a miss. Henry Rodriguez is punched out, but the damage already done for the Cubs in the 6th. 4 more. They lead it 10-2 to the bottom of 6 in Cincinnati. Tonight, 10 runs, 8 hits. They lead the Reds 10-2. We go to the bottom of 6. There are the uncomfortable numbers for the Reds tonight. Here's Dimitri, singled back in the 2nd and scored on a double by Ochoa. Bounced to 3rd, his 2nd time up. Hit pretty good to right, but it'll stay in the park. Sammy Sosa's under it. There's 1 away. Sosa pulls it down, 1 out. And Alex Ochoa, who doubled in a Reds run in the 2nd, is up. He's been on base twice, a double and a walk. Well, the Reds started this year, and we talked about it all spring, feeling that offensively this team will be fine, and you have to expect them to be just that as the year progresses. Haven't been that way this week, but you expect them to produce runs. The big question for the Reds, if they're going to stay in a pennant race, is pitching. And we get a look tomorrow at Rob Bell, Chris, who will make his major league start. Is he ready to fill the role of a number 5 starter? Is he ready to contribute? We'll get the beginning answers to that question tomorrow against the Cubs.
Yeah, you really never know. I mean, Rob Bell as judge, and same comments I made about Hector Mercado bear for Rob Bell too. He made the ball club based on his stuff. When they compared his stuff to the stuff of Mark Portugal, there's no comparison. In fact, Rob Bell, they feel, has the best stuff of any starter on the ball club. But whether he takes it out there, can throw strikes and locate his fastball, that he'll show us when he pitches.
Have an 8-run lead. Just let him hit it to the deep part of the ballpark. That's what Andrew Lorraine did. 3 fly balls in a 7-pitch inning. And the Reds go 1-2-3. Here we go to the 7th. 10-2 Cubs. Harmon, one of them. Great to see Chuck. He's not 76 years old, 76 years young, huh?
Mm-hmm.
He's like
looking good, Chuck is.
Always around the clubhouse. Great to come by and talk baseball with today's players. A guy who is very much a part of Reds history. Great to have him at the park tonight. Not happy as he looks at that scoreboard, though. 10 runs, 8 hits for the Cubs. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Reds. Here's Shane Andrews. He's been punched out 3 times tonight. Twice by Harnish, 1 by Mercado. Mercado has 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. That's the good news. Pete Harnish also had 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. Bad news is the other numbers. Popped up by Andrews to center. Ochoa and Griffey converge. Junior takes it. There's 1 away. Hey, don't forget, support youth baseball and softball in Cincinnati by purchasing tickets for the Kid Glove game. Wednesday, April 19th, ticket vouchers for the Reds-Giants game available from amateur youth baseball and softball players in the area. All proceeds will be used for new baseball and softball equipment for area teams. For more info on the Kid Glove game for April 19th, call 426-1633. That's 426-1633.
And at last count, George, there are about 1,000 ticket vouchers left for each of those games. So get on the phone.
Here's Buford. Damon homered to lead off the 2nd, then struck out twice, 1 for 3. While we talk about the minor leagues for the Reds, with Louisville winning last night and Chattanooga losing. Bloop to short. Larkin's got it, and there's 2 away. Congratulations to the Dayton Dragons. They celebrated their inaugural contest with a 7-2 win. That was against the Cubs minor league affiliate at Lansing. Ty Howington picked up the victory in his professional debut. 5 shutout innings, struck out 7. Walking no one, surrendering only 3 hits. Casey Bookout was 1 for 4. Austin Kearns was 2 for 4. A couple of runs scored, double and a walk.
Ty Howington might not be long for that Dayton Dragon Ball Club.
He was impressive this spring.
Oh, boy. The first batter he faced was Junior Griffey in an inter-squad game and promptly went 0-2 on him and really had him rung up a couple of times. The umpire wouldn't give Howington the call, and eventually Griffey worked the walk on him. But very interesting the way he went right after that #1 player in the world.
Billings Mustangs and Gulf Coast League will not be playing until June. That's the rest of the Reds minor league affiliations. And we'll try to keep you up to date. Rob Butcher, Mike Vasallo will be filling us in on all that info this year. We want to welcome Mike to the Reds Public Relations Department, over from the New York Yankees, where he and Joe Girardi worked together last year. Girardi tonight reached on an error, popped up and walked. 2-2. Full count with 2 outs for Hector Mercado. He settled down this inning after a disastrous 6 where the Cubs scored 4. Barry Larkin takes the quick hop, throws out Girardi. 1-2-3 for the Reds. It's their first 1-2-3 inning since the 5th when Mercado struck out the side. But the Reds had some business to do. They trail by 8. Here we go to the 7th, and Aaron Boone due up. Reds.com. Time for our Geico Direct moment. Quote, "It was nice to get our first win. Now we can go out and just play ball." That was Aaron Boone last night on the victory, which included his first home run of the year. Here's Boone. Tonight struck out and walked. Andrew Lorraine has baffled the Reds on 3 hits, 2 runs so far tonight. By the way, for the Cubs, with the 10-2 lead defensively, Brock's moved to left. Henry Rodriguez has exited the game. Buford's in center. Sosa's still in right. The rest of the defense stays the same. Girardi behind the plate. Andrews, Gutierrez, Young, and Grace across the infield. Scott Sullivan up and loosening for the Reds, with the pitcher in Mercado's slot due up second this inning. Steins has moved into the on-deck circle. 3-2 to Boone. For the Reds, Tom Hume, the bullpen coach, talking to Scott Sullivan. And over in the Cubs bullpen, Mark Guthrie, big left-handers up and loosening. Line drive, but foul by Boone. Cubs bullpen has Mark Guthrie on the left side, Felix Heredia also. They just called up today Daniel Garibay out of the Mexican League. Brian Williams, Matt Karchner from the right side, and of course Rick Aguilera is the closer. Rob Bell tomorrow against Kevin Tapani. Bell's major league debut. Game time, we're on the air at 1 o'clock. It'll be preceded by Real Reds at 12:30. Hit pretty good center field, but Buford's got his sights on it. 1 away. Time for our Chrysler game summary. Here are the numbers as the Cubs lead the Reds 10-2. Ricky Gutierrez 3 for 3, a double that knocked in 2, a single that knocked in 1. Andrew Lorraine has been superb, allowing the Reds only 3 hits. Alex Ochoa, the one bright spot for the Reds offensively, 1 for 2, a double. Run knocked in and a run scored. Added up, and it's 10-2. Cubs over the Reds. Lorraine, in his debut for the Cubs, in August of last year, tossed a complete game 3-hit shutout over the Astros. Other than that, this is the best he's pitched for the Cubs as Stein steps in and quickly is in a hole 0-T. Stein's pinch hitting for Mercado as Lorraine reaches the 100 pitch mark.
Well, what Lorraine has done tonight, George, is essentially control the strike zone. To the right-handers, he's controlled the inner part of the plate, and to the left-hander, Ken Griffey Jr., he's controlled the outer part of the plate. He has pitched around the wildness that he's had. He had 4 walks, and that's too many in the innings that he's pitched, but still in all, he's had pretty good stuff, much better stuff than I remember having seen him last year. So it might be one of these left-handers that is finally getting better and better as he's gotten older.
Andrews throws out Stein, and there's 2 away. Back to the top of the order, Pokey Reese. Pokey tonight, after picking up 6 hits in his last 8 at-bats in the last 2 games, is 0 for 3. Strikeout, 2 ground ball outs. 4-game hitting streak on the line. Right-hander Matt Karchner is now joining Guthrie down in the bullpen for the Cubs. Well, the good news is that the rain hasn't come yet, but for the Reds right now, that's bad news. It's a 10-2 ball game. Late this afternoon, it appeared unlikely that we'd even get the game started. There was heavy thunderstorm activity, and right now in and around the entire Cincinnati area there are a lot of showers and some heavy thunderstorms, but here at the ballpark we haven't had a drop yet. Game hitting streak for Pokey. He'll take a big turn, look for 2, but go nowhere as the ball's in quickly to the shortstop Gutierrez. So Pokey Reese keeps his hit streak alive. Simple job of hitting, base hit for Pokey. 2 outs, a runner on for the Reds, and that'll bring up Larkin, who's 0 for 1 and 2 walks. Barry tonight, a 1-out walk, was left stranded in the first, lined out to center, hit the ball hard in the third, and then in the 5th walked again. Hit pretty good to left, back to the wall, against the wall, it's going to be gone. Barry Larkin gets his first home run of 2000, and the Reds inch a little closer. It's a 10-4 ball game. Captain gets his first, and here's another look.
Look, actually, like Barry was somewhat fooled on this pitch. A breaking ball down in the strike zone. One of those examples of sometimes you make a good pitch as a pitcher, and it still ends up in a bad way. But Larkin got the fat pat of the bat on it. Now it's only a 6-run deficit.
Here's Junior. There's a ground ball to the left side, but it's right at Andrews, the only place it wouldn't have been a base hit with the shift on against him. So the Reds get 2 back. Still a long way to go. It's a 10-4 ball game, and the Reds have 2 more cracks at it. To the 8th we go. The pitcher's spot due up first. Charlie Williams and the rest of this umpiring crew taking a close look at the tarp because the rain has just now started to come down. The wind's starting to gust, and you can tell that the rain is around the ballpark and now starting to sprinkle inside the stadium. And by the way, the rumors that we've been hearing bouncing around over the course of the last couple of days, Chris, have come to fruition tonight as the Reds did make a pitching move just moments ago.
And it was for a left-handed pitcher, actually trading a left-handed pitcher. Gabe White goes to the Colorado Rockies in exchange for Manny Ibar, a former St. Louis Cardinal right-hander who pitched a couple of pretty good games against the Reds, and it starts with the Cardinals. The Rockies are looking for a left-hander. It was rumored a couple of days ago, actually, in a column written by Hal McCoy in the Dayton Daily News, that this trade might happen, and the Reds were able to get it done tonight. So Gabe White goes to Colorado. Manny Ibar, right-hander, comes to Cincinnati.
And Julio Zuleta pinch hits here in the top of the 8th inning. Zuleta against the new pitcher for the Reds, Scott Sullivan. Zuleta 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter, and now make it 0 for 2 as he's punched out. So what's the exchange here? The exchange number 1 is that the Reds get a guy who can be a starter. Manny Ibar, when he was with the Cardinals, if you remember a couple of years ago, the Reds had serious discussions with St. Louis about acquiring Ibar. Every time talks were made, Ibar's name kept popping up. The deal was never made. Ibar went to Colorado. Now from Colorado, in fact, he can stay home because the Reds are heading to Denver. So Gabe White heads to Denver, and the Reds will pick up Manny Ibar. Sullivan gets strikeout number 1. It will be a difficult moment for the Reds bullpen because this bullpen of Danny Graves, Scott Williamson, Scott Sullivan, and Gabe White have been very close over the last couple of years, and having Gabe White leave town will be emotionally very difficult. That's the essence of the game, though.
Yeah, it is. That's part of baseball in the I guess 20th century. Trades happening all the time, and clubs are always trying to improve themselves.
That's in there for a strike to Young. The crowd of 36,383 now heading for some shelter because the rain's starting to come down pretty hard right now.
If you're tired of eating the same thing day in and day out, well, do this. Turn to the brand you can count on, JTM. Pick up a box of JTM's new beef or chicken Philly cheesesteak kits for a quick and easy meal solution your friends and family are sure to love.
2 away. Here's Ricky Gutierrez. He's been a one-man wrecking coup. 3 for 3 and a walk for Gutierrez tonight. 3 runs batted in. The crew chief on this group is John Hirschbeck, the veteran American League umpire and now the head of the new umpiring organization. He's at first, and you have a feeling that as soon as this ball drops into somebody's glove, they're going to put the tarp on the field. That's it. Fly ball to left. Hirschbeck peering up at the sky. We'll continue to play. We're going to the bottom of 8th. They're going to try to ram this one home. It's a 10-4 lead for the Cubs.
Bullpen to bring in a new pitcher. Andrew Lorraine, the starter. He looked outstanding tonight. 7 innings of 4-run baseball. He walked 4, struck out 5, gave up only 5 hits, and really handled the big guys in the lineup pretty good. And on comes the right-hander Matt Karshner, and there's John Hirschbeck. He's the crew chief looking up at the sky, and he sees some participation coming. He kind of sees some rain coming down.
Some rain coming down, yeah.
I must have some of that in my lips right now.
They'll try to get this one in, and it's going to be very difficult to do it if it keeps pouring the way it is. Here's Bichette. Dimitri Young and Ochoa due up. Dante pops it foul to the left side. It'll reach the seats, be out of play. National League in the 8th now. Florida 4, Colorado 3. Also in the top of 8, San Diego 9, Montreal 5 in Montreal. Top of 8 at Shea Stadium, New York Mets 2, the Dodgers 1. Top of 7 at Atlanta, Giants 6. Braves 1. Philadelphia and Houston scoreless in the 5th. Milwaukee 2, St. Louis nothing in the 5th. That's your scoreboard update on the games that are underway at this hour. here. 10 runs, 8 hits for the Cubs, 4 runs, 5 hits for the Reds. We're in the bottom of 8. Karchner delivers down and away, 2-1. Danny Graves up loosening for the Reds in the bullpen. And if you just joined us, again to reiterate, the Reds have worked a trade tonight with the Colorado Rockies. General Manager Jim Bowden announcing the acquisition of 25-year-old right-handed pitcher Manny Ibar from the Rockies in exchange for Gabe White. Reds fans will remember Ibar as a Cardinal, not as a Rocky. He was part of the Darryl Kyle deal going from St. Louis to Colorado this winter. So left-hander White, 28 years of age, goes to Denver, and for the Reds, Manny Ibar will come to town. 3-1. Bichette sends it high in the air to left center. Buford calling for it. Got it. 1 away. Dante 0 for 4. Strikeout, ground out, pop out, and a fly ball to center. Here's Dimitri Young. He has one of the Reds' 5 hits tonight, a single, and he scored a run in the second. Not only is the rain coming down, but the wind's starting to swirl at Synergy Field. Dimitri to left field, hit pretty good towards the line. There to make the catch is Brock, and there's 2 away. Hey, with Ken Griffey Jr. in a Reds uniform, tickets are going fast. Get your tickets now for popular matchups with the Indians, Mark McGwire and the Cards, and Sammy Sosa and the Cubs. Get your tickets now at the advanced ticket window at Synergy, the Dugout Shop at the Westin, all Ticketmaster outlets, by phone at 513-421-REDS or online at CincinnatiReds.com. Two away, and here's Ochoa. Alex, bright spot offensively for the Reds, doubled in a run and scored a run in the second, walked, and a fly ball to right. Pretty good to left. Does it have enough giddy ap? Warning, track wall. It is gone. Well, Alex Ochoa is not giving up. Larkin hit his first home run of the year, and Ochoa clubs one to left, just into the second deck, and it's now a 10-5 ball game.
Well, they really like the upside of Alex Ochoa. He plays terrific defense, and he's got some power in his bat. Hit 300 last year for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he shows he's got plenty of pop. This ball not only goes over the wall, goes well back into the green seats.
Our Ohio Lottery instant replay of the night. Second home run for the Reds. Larkin in the 7th, and now Ochoa here in the 8th. Santiago, broken bat, popped to the right side. Eric Young has it, and that'll do it. The Reds get a hit. They're 6th of the night, a home run. It's still a 5-run deficit. Here we go to the 9th. Sosa, Grayson, the number 4 spot in the order, due up.
By Jack McKeon here to try to keep him sharp, as the Reds still trail by 5 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. Graves has already been in one ball game. He pitched a couple of innings, gave up a run, gave up a strikeout. That all figures into a 4.5 earned run average.
Reds haven't had a closing situation to get a save. The key in a situation like this is to try to keep your closer sharp. So Graves, who is better when he works more often, needs some work. He faces Sammy Sosa, Mark Grace, and Brock here in the top of 9. Sosa, he got off the schneid big time tonight. First at bat, 2-run home run, his first of the year. Only his 3rd hit of the year. And then he sacrificed fly in the 4th to knock in another run. So 3 runs batted in for Sammy on a 2-for-4 night. 8th spot in the order due up for the Reds in the bottom of 9.
Yeah, George, a lot of people have always wondered who holds the advantage on in rainy conditions, the batter or the pitcher. If you can get a dry ball and have decent footing as a pitcher, I think you've got the advantage. Once that bat becomes wet, it's harder and harder to square a ball on it. Plus, you've got the batter worrying about that water dripping off the bill of his helmet, sometimes into his eyes. Sammy will wipe it clean, but that won't last long.
The wild card of that, of course, is we've always talked about is your footing on the mound. If you get solid footing, you're all right. That's fouled into the seats, and it's 3-2. And when you order your Domino's pizza, don't forget to ask for barbecue wings featuring award-winning Boomer's barbecue sauce. 36,000 plus here tonight. Many have exited or headed for shelter as the rain's been coming down for the last inning plus. Don't forget, on the air tomorrow, 12:30 with Real Reds, 1 o'clock with the Reds against the Cubs. Rob Bell, Major League debut against Kevin Tapani, and we have to add a caveat to that. That is weather permitting. More rain scheduled all night, and by tomorrow it's supposed to be around the freezing level. Sosa, pretty good to left. Ochoa, warning track wall. He's got it. Nice job by Alex Ochoa against the wall. He hauls it down for the first out of the ninth.
Even the outs from Sammy Sosa's bat are exciting. This one sends Alex Ochoa right to the wall.
Two great angles of a fine defensive play by Alex Ochoa. Safe to say that Sammy Sosa has got the swing back. Sacrifice fly, a home run, and that one to the wall and left. Here's Mark Grace. Grace bounced out, walked, struck out, and then hit his second homer of the year in the 6th. That gave the Cubs their 9th and 10th runs, and they lead at 10-5 right now. American League update now. Baltimore 11, Detroit 7 in the 7th, Cleveland 13, Tampa Bay 2 in the 6th, and Texas leads Toronto 7-4 in the 4th. This afternoon, Kansas City beat Minnesota 10-6. He frowned after the series in St. Louis, but the smile and the swing starting to come back from Sosa here in Cincinnati. And you have to wonder, Chris, it was a long trip to Japan for the first 2 games against the Mets, and most baseball fans also know the stories that have come out this past week of the investigation of some the possibility of some alleged financial improprieties in Sammy's benefit organization down in the Dominican Republic. Nothing that Sammy had anything to do with, but the way it's administered down there. And as concerned as he is about his reputation and his people there, you know that had to weigh on his mind too the last few days.
Yeah, I think that it certainly weighs on his mind a little bit. Nice pitch by Danny Graves right there. Mark Grace doesn't like it. A little comeback fastball. But I think also, George, the trip to Japan, not only the long trip and the fatigue and the layover and jet lag coming back, but it's the off days that surround the games. It really enables you, when you don't have off days, to play every day and kind of get into a rhythm. When you have off days, too many off days in a row, you get out of that rhythm. These baseball players, even all through spring training, are used to playing every day. When you get them out of their schedule, that's when they just get out of it and don't perform as well. I'm not sure what the problem with the Reds is, though.
Maybe they need to get on the road the same way it was last year, right?
Could be. They played,
they played a lot better on the road.
They turned the season around with that long winning road streak.
Well, they will after this weekend, heading to Denver, then to L.A. Here's Brock, the left fielder, 1 for 1 on the year. And there have been some rumblings. Last year, you remember, Major League Baseball went to the Cubs and went to the Cardinals trying to get Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire to go to Japan for that season opening series. Brock lines it to Pokey Reese. He gobbles it up, throws him out. 1, 2, 3 for Graves in the ninth. Well, the rumors are that they might ask the Reds with Griffey and Sosa to go next year to Chicago. We shall see. We're going to the bottom of 9. Reds down by 5, 10-5. Here we go to the bottom of 9. Aaron Boone will lead it off. Trip Cromer has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for the pitcher Graves. And then the top of the order, Pokey Reese, as the Reds try to come up with some magic in the ninth to take an L and make it a W. Matt Karchner pitched the 8th, gave up a home run to Ochoa. And he's in there in the ninth. No action in the bullpen for the Cubs. Reds' job here, just try to keep an inning alive. You need base runners down by 5. Boone tonight struck out, walk, fly ball to center. Drops a bunt down. No way Andrews will have a prayer here. It's a base hit. Reds have a base runner. Don't have to be down 5 runs to do that. Boone gets the Reds started in the right fashion.
Aaron Boone's been struggling at the plate. There's no doubt about that. Comes into the ballgame an 0.77 hitter, but he drives it right down the line. Perfect placement right there. And 5 runs down, you got to figure, hey, all you need is base runners, and plenty of them.
Here's D.T. Cromer, 2 for 2 in his brief stint this month. There's 3 for 3. How about that? D.T. Cromer plunks one into center field. See the first thing straight you get and go ripping at it. A single, a double, a single for DT in his 3 plate appearances, and the Reds have a rally going.
Leading the universe in hitting right now, 3 for 3 and even 1,000 batting average. Makes it look easy. It looks a little bit like Hal Morris in there, the way he swings the bat. Follows through with a line drive to center.
Well, the Cromer family, 3 who have played baseball at the professional level, can celebrate the 3 for 3. Now the Reds trying to just keep it going, and they will get some action in the bullpen now for the Cubs. Mark Guthrie runs down there, and also Rick Aguilera starts to loosen too. So Guthrie left-hander, Aguilera right-hander, hustling down to the bullpen. Here's Pokey Reese. Stretched his hitting streak to 5 straight ball games with a base hit last time up. He's 1 for 4. Boone at second, Cromer at first. That's up high, and it's 2-0. And right around the corner is Larkin, then Griffey and Bichette. So a couple of base hits, and all of a sudden this game is in reach. That's why it's not just Guthrie loosening, it's the closer Aguilera too. There's a strike, 2-1. Gutierrez, young, double play depth, middle of the infield with no outs here in the bottom of the ninth. High in the air to center, it's catchable, and his tracks Buford. There's your first out. Here comes Barry Larkin. He homered his last time up. Boone's on second. Cromer's on first. Barry tonight walked, line to center, walked, and then homered. Popped up down the right field line. Long run for Sosa. Races back. Look out. He slips and falls. Oh, baby. Right on the tartan surface. He took a wicked fall right on his rear end.
Well, he's got to feel like he's very fortunate to get up without much of pain right there. This is a nasty fall he makes. A couple of years older, he's looking at a broken hip.
He's a veteran, but not that much of a veteran.
That's been around a while.
Difficulty of that tartan surface. When it's wet, it's like a skating rink. No matter what kind of spikes you use, you can't keep your footing on the tartan surface in weather like this. The crowd gives him a hand and he responds too. Now let's see if Larkin, given another life, can respond as well at the plate. One strike to Barry. Spoils one foul, 0-2. Last time up in the 7th after Reese's single. Here's home run number 1 for Barry Larkin. Drilled it down the line and left for the Reds' 3rd and 4th runs of the ball game. Now he's trying to keep it alive for Junior, who's on deck. That'll kick away. Boone rounds 3rd, but it'll go no further than that. So now the chance for the double play erased on the wild pitch by Karchner. And you'd have to figure if Larkin keeps the inning alive, it'll probably be the left-hander to face Griffey.
Well, you're going to see this a lot down there. Not the wild pitch, but you're going to see other managers warming up dual action in the bullpen because of the balance in the Reds lineup. That simply means, the wild pitch that is, that it erases the double play from ending this ball game.
One ball, 2 strikes to Larkin as Aguilera and Guthrie continue to loosen. Up and in, 2-2. The numbers of the crowd are gone. No longer 36,000 here. Those that stay pretty vocal though. Hoping they can see some 9th inning heroics for the Reds. That kicks away, but down 5 runs. Boone doesn't take a chance, and as it turns out, wisely so, because Girardi was right on top of that one.
Karchner trying his best to advance those runners. Girardi goes down, just as you said earlier, George, in textbook fashion, squares himself up. But that ball just gets off the heel of his glove.
Three and 2 to Larkin. That's ball 4, and the bases are loaded, and number 30's coming up to the plate. The sign from the bullpen is that Guthrie and Aguilera are both ready here. And here comes Don Baylor. He'll bring in the left-hander Mark Guthrie. So in a week that's been a roller coaster, a biggest moment of emotion in his first week of the season unfolding. When we return, it's Griffey against Guthrie. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net.
And the left-hander to face the left-handed hitting Junior Griffey. The problem with this strategy, though, is Guthrie last year between Boston and the Cubs was 0-3 with an earned run average somewhere in the 4s. Last year, left-handers hit him much better than right-handers.
And add to that, Griffey is 11 for 23 with 2 home runs against this left-hander. So percentage is one thing, and we'll see how it unfolds. But Junior, very familiar, 11 for 23 in his career and 2 home runs against Mark Guthrie. Well, we talked about Sammy Sosa taking the burden off his shoulders with a home run in the first. The Reds trying to take this game to the 9th and come up with a miraculous finish. They trail 10-5, and listen to the hand for Griffey. Boone, Cromer, Larkin off their bases. Reds down by 5. The tying run still rests in the on-deck circle. Junior tonight, strikeout, ground out, pop out, ground out. Rippey against Guthrie. High in the air to left, but it's going to stay in the park. At the warning track, tagging at third will be Boone. He'll score. A sacrifice fly for Junior. The Reds get a run back. It's 10-6, but they lose an out. He gave it a pretty good ride, high enough, not deep enough, and it's a 10-6 ball game. Watch Junior.
Well, Junior knows the offerings of this left-hander, trying to go the other way, keeps his shoulder in very nicely that time, just simply got underneath it.
And with that, Guthrie got the one guy he needed to get, so he'll exit. Aguilera will come in, and while the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Net.
The win the Cubs have so far this year. And he'll face Dante Bichette, who is in his career 3 for 10 off Aguilera.
That 3 for 10 includes a home run for Bichette against Aguilera. The Reds now down by 4, 10-6. The hits are even at 8. Bichette will come to the plate, and the switch hitting Dimitri Young is due up next. So it's right-hander against right-hander with Dimitri next up. Tonight, Bichette bounced out, struck out, popped out, and a fly ball to center. He's working on an 0 for 4 evening. Cromer at second, Larkin over at first. Aguilera works from the stretch with Bichette stepping in. Scott Williamson, after Graves was pinch hit for, now up loosening in the bullpen if the Reds should prolong this one into extra innings. Well, here's the veteran Aguilera. 289 career saves. Gets strike one. This now has become a save situation. Whenever you have the potential tying run in the on-deck circle, when you enter the game, it is a save situation. So for Aguilera, he can pick up number 290 if he closes the door here. Bichette down to third. Andrews will get it and tap the bag. He hit it hard, but right at the third baseman. So a roller coaster ride, fueled by the home run power of the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs win this one 10-6. 10 runs, 8 hits, no errors. 6 runs, 8 hits, and an error for the Reds, as the Cubs have taken the first of this series. We'll be back. Talk more about this one. Let's wrap it up from here, as Don Baylor has come home with victory number 2 for him as the Cubs manager. It looked like an easy one, but the Reds rally with 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th. But the end story is Baylor and the Cubs victorious. Sammy Sosa, a home run, his first of the year, and a sacrifice fly. He had 3 runs batted in. Ricky Gutierrez had 3 hits and 3 runs batted in. Home runs from Buford and from Grace capped the 10-run effort by the Cubs. For the Reds, the good news: Larkin hits his first round tripper, and Alex Ochoa had 2 hits, including a home run. But Chris, this was a night where Andrew Lorraine just handled the Reds easily.
Well, the Reds have been able to make pretty unknown pitchers very well-known pitchers this last week, George, by the performances that the Brewers pitchers had against them, and Andrew Lorraine tonight. Certainly this guy threw the ball extremely well, established himself on the inner part of the strike zone, and the struggles continue for Pete Harnish, who really had a hard time locating the ball where he had to. He gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. That's not the kind of start you expect out of Pete, but maybe better things next time.
2 hours, 58 minutes of baseball. The highlight of this for the Cubs and their fans is Sammy Sosa's first inning home run. Our Advance Auto Parts play of the game. Sammy's first of the year got the Cubs off to an early 2-0 lead, and 2 hours and 58 minutes later, 36,383 go home with the Cubs at a 10-6 victory. For Chris Welch, our entire crew, this is George Grant. Good night, everybody. See you at the ballpark. Fox Sports News is next.